Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Cyber Dragon Therion deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is a deck you guys have been requesting a lot recently down in the comments, and this deck is absolutely insane. It's super fun to be able to play, and it's awesome how well the Therion monsters work with this deck. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name description every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of the original Cyber Dragon. This card is a definite 3-of in the deck because it can special summon itself to your side of the field if your opponent controls a monster and you don't, which is an absolutely amazing effect to just get this 2100 attack point monster on your side of the field that is a key piece in just about every play in the deck. And then play 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Core. This is the best normal summon in the entire deck. This card is a really good effect that when this card is normal summon, you can add a Cyber Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand, which is a awesome effect because we have so many powerful cyber spells or traps that we can add directly from our deck to our hand off this card's effect. This card also has a really awesome effect that if your opponent controls a monster and you don't control a monster, you can manage this card from your graveyard to special summon a Cyber Dragon monster from your deck to your side of the field, which is an awesome effect. It also has the ability that this card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while in the field or in the graveyard, which is a great effect because with this card you can activate Machine Duplication, and when you activate Machine Duplication, you don't summon out 2 more copies of Core, you actually special summon out 2 more copies of Cyber Dragon, which also works with your copies of Cyber Dragon Hertz and Cyber Dragon Nashter, which is absolutely insane. I then play 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Hertz. The main effect that we're going to be using on this card is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 other Cyber Dragon from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which is a really good effect. But it also has the ability, if this card is special summoned, you can make this card become a level 5 monster until the end of the turn. And also you can't special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except for machine monsters, but that's totally fine because this card helps us go in for our copy of Cyber Dragon Nova and then Cyber Dragon Infinity, which is really awesome. We then play 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Nashter. Nashter is a really good 2-of in the deck because it helps us out a lot because it has the ability, this card's name becomes Cyber Dragon while in the field or in the graveyard, but it's also a walking monster reborn because you can discard 1 other monster to special summon this card from your hand, and if this card is normal or special summon, then you can target a machine monster with 2100 attack or defense in your grave and special summon it, which is a great effect just to get 1 of your monsters back on the field. And then play a single copy of Cyber Dark Chimera. I love this card in this deck. It helps out so much because it actually searches Power Bond, because you can discard a spell or trap card to add a Power Bond from your deck to your hand, and you can only use dragon or machine cyber monsters as fusion materials this turn. Also, once when you fusion summon this turn, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as a material, which is absolutely insane because it basically turns your copy of Power Bond into an overload fusion, which is absolutely insane because you can just banish the materials when you activate Power Bond from your graveyard to be able to use your copy of Power Bond as a fusion spell, which is really good. I then play 2 copies of Galaxy Soldier. Galaxy Soldier is a really good 2-of in the deck because it has the ability you can send 1 other light monster from your hand to the graveyard and then special summon this card from your hand in defense position. And when this card is special summoned, you can add another Galaxy monster from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be your copy of Galaxy Soldier that you're going to be grabbing off this card's effect. I then play 2 copies of Therion King Regulus. This card is an absolutely insane boss monster for the deck because it's actually a walking negate and it's super easy to summon to your field because all you have to do is either target a Therion monster or a machine monster in your graveyard, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, equip that monster this card targeted to this card, which is super easy to summon this card to the field. It also has the ability that when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can send a Therion monster card from your hand or face up from your field to the graveyard to negate that effect, which is really easy to do because basically you just send this card to the grave and negate that card's effect, which is really awesome for this card because it helps us go in for more plays, and a Therion monster equipped with this card gains 700 attack points, which is a pretty good effect. We then play a single copy of the Star Destroying Kaiju. This card is easily searchable off your copy of your Cyber Dragon Repair Plant, which is why I'm playing this card as a 1-of in the deck, because we can Kaiju over an opponent's monster, which is really helpful for us, and then you can go in for your copy of your Fortress Dragon, getting rid of this card, which is really awesome to just get rid of an opponent's powerful monster and turn it into our powerful monster, which is absolutely insane. I then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom to round out the monsters. This card is just a great hand trap overall to stop the opponent from touching the deck, so this card is a definite 3-of in this build. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. Harpy's Feather Duster is here because we don't want to have to deal with our opponent's back row while we're going in for game. So this card just gets rid of all of their back row, so we can just go in and know that they're not going to have any cards that are going to stop us from going in for game. I think we'll play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is a really good 1-of to stop your opponent's hand traps while we're going in for our plays. And then play a single copy of Disc Coliseum. Disc Coliseum is a great searcher that basically counts as the 3rd copy of our King Regulus, with the ability, when this card is activated, you can add a Therion monster from your deck to your hand, and then once per turn, if your monster would be destroyed by battle, you can send a Therion monster or an Endless Engine from your deck to the graveyard instead, which is a really good effect to be able to just give you that little bit of protection while also getting one of your monsters in the grave. It also has the ability that once per turn, when a monster is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can target a Therion monster in your grave and add it back to your hand, so you can actually recover back your copy of your King Regulus, which is really good for the grind game. I then play a single copy of Cyber Rev System. Rev System is a really good 1-of because it's basically Monster Reborn for Cyber Dragons, because it lets you special summon a Cyber Dragon monster from your hand or grave, and it can't be destroyed by card effects. Then play a single copy of Cyber Repair Plant. Repair Plant is a good 1-of searcher in the deck that basically has the ability to add a light machine monster from your deck to your hand. I then play a single copy of Overload Fusion. Overload Fusion is a great fusion spell in the deck, because you can banish the materials to summon a dark machine monster from your field or graveyard, which is really good to be able to make cards like your Rampage Dragon with this card by just banishing 2 Cyber Dragons from the grave that you really don't need anymore. I then play a single copy of Cyber Load Fusion. Cyber Load Fusion is a great 1-of in the deck, and is a really awesome card for the late game because it has the ability that you can fusion summon a fusion monster from your X deck that lists a Cyber Dragon monster as material by shuffling the fusion materials listed on it into the deck from among cards on the field or face up that are banished, which works really well with your copy of Power Bond and your copy of Dark Chimera and your copy of Overload Fusion, because you're going to be banishing your Cyber Dragons to fusion summon. So this card can help you make a second fusion summon by recovering your cards and putting them back into the deck, which is really good. I then play a single copy of Cyber Dark Realm. Cyber Dark Realm is a really good 1-of that's actually searchable off your copy of Cyber Dragon Core, with the ability that you can activate this card and then add a Cyber Dark monster from your deck to your hand with a different name from cards in your graveyard, and then you can activate the ability that during your main phase, you can immediately, as card resolves, normal summon a Cyber Dark monster, which is a really good effect because it has the ability that basically you're going to search out your copy of Chimera with this card and then immediately normal summon it, which gives you a second normal summon, which is absolutely insane in this deck. By normal summoning out your copy of Cyber Dragon Core, you can then search this, activate this, search out Chimera, normal summon the Chimera, use Chimera effect to be able to search Power Bond, discarding a spell or trap, and then link them two together to be able to make your copy of your Cyber Dragon Link monster, which is really good. And your copy of Chimera will still use its effect that when you fusion summon this turn using Power Bond, you can still fusion summon by banishing the materials from the graveyard, which is really good. I then play 2 copies of Power Bond. Power Bond is a really insane fusion spell that has the ability that doubles the attack points of the monster you fusion summon using this card. So this card is a definite 2-of in the build, and it's super easy to pull off with your copy of Chimera. So this card is a definite 2-of in the deck. I then play 3 copies of Machine Duplication. Machine Duplication is a great 3-of because with this card, when you activate it using your copy of Core, Nashter, or even Hertz, targeting one of those monsters, since they count as Cyber Dragon while in the field or in the grave, when you activate this card and target them, you actually special summon out 2 copies of the original Cyber Dragon instead of 2 more copies of either Core, Hertz, or Nashter, which is really cool because you get 2 really powerful monsters on your side of the field for the cost of 1 Machine Duplication. I then play 3 copies of Cyber Emergency. Cyber Emergency is a really good 3 of the deck that lets you add a light machine monster from your deck to your hand that cannot be normal summoned or set, or a Cyber Dragon monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect because this card is basically a 3 of Rhoda in the build. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Cybernetic Overflow. Overflow is a really good one in the deck that helps us pop monsters on the field because you can banish Cyber Dragon monsters with different levels from your hand, face different field, or graveyard, and then destroy an equal number of cards your opponent controls, which is a pretty good effect because we can banish a 1, 2, and 5 level to be able to pop upwards of 3 cards that our opponent controls, which is a pretty good effect. I then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is just a really good 3 of that stops your opponent's monster effects. It can also lock down spell and trap columns, which is a really awesome effect. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon. This card is really good because it basically just eats monsters that are in the extra monster zone, because you can contact fuse a Cyber Dragon monster plus a monster that's in the extra monster zone into this card, and it doesn't matter if it belongs to your opponent, which is a really good effect because if your opponent puts a link monster that's really powerful in the extra monster zone, or any monster in the extra monster zone, you can basically link contact fuse that monster away with the Cyber Dragon that you have on your side of the field to make this card that comes out at 2,400 attack points. Then play a single copy of Fortress Dragon because this card is just a really good one of to be able to get rid of your copy of your Star Destroying Kaiju that you're going to give to the opponent, and this card will come out at 2,000 attack points because you're going to put a regular Cyber Dragon monster plus that copy of the Star Destroying Kaiju into this card, outing an opponent's monster and letting them not keep that 3,300 attack point monster. Then play a single copy of Twin Dragon. When you use Power Bond to summon this card, it's going to come out at 5,600 and be able to attack twice, which is a really good effect. Then play 2 copies of Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. Rampage Dragon is a really good OTK card because it has the ability to take 2+ Cyber Dragon monsters to summon this card, and a fusion summon this card can only be done with the above fusion materials, and when this card is fusion summoned, you can target spells or traps on the field up to the number of materials used to summon this card and destroy those cards, which is a really good effect to make sure that you're going to go in for game when you attack with this card. This card can also attack multiple times because it also has the ability once per turn, you can send up to 2 light machine monsters from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, for each monster sent to the graveyard, this card gains an additional attack during each battle phase this turn, which makes it so it can attack multiple times, which is pretty good. I then play a single copy of Cyber In Dragon. This card is just really good just in case you need to go in for piercing damage. And this card is really cool because I actually have the misprint version that looks like it has Cyber Darkness in Dragon, or Cyber Dark in Dragon, which is really, really cool to have this card. It's a misprint and it's just such a cool card overall. But this card does piercing damage, which is absolutely insane. It's just a really awesome nostalgic boss monster, which is why I play it as a one of in this deck. So for the XZ monsters, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Infinity. You got to play one of each artwork because it's just too cool not to. This card is basically a walking negate and can also gobble up a card on your opponent's side of the field and attaches a material to this card once per turn, which is a pretty good effect. I then play 2 copies of Nova because you actually have to make Nova first to make your copy of Infinity, but you can only make Infinity once per turn. But this card is really good because you can make Nova, detach a material on this card, target a Cyber Dragon in the grave, and special summon it back to the field, and then lay a copy of Infinity on top of it, which is a really good effect. And the really cool thing about this card is if your opponent destroys this card, then you can special summon a Machine Cyber or Machine Fusion monster from your extract, which is usually going to be your copy of your Cyber In Dragon that you're going to be summoning off this card's effect. But this card is just so good because if this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, any way they want to send it to the graveyard except by battle, then it has the ability to special summon out a copy of a Machine Fusion monster directly from your extract, which again is always going to be that copy of Cyber End. I then play a single copy of Pleiades. Pleiades is just really good because if you can't make your copy of Nova, you make your copy of Pleiades alongside your copy of your Infinity to give you a pop and a negate, or a bounce and a negate, which is really important. I then play a single copy of AA Zeus because it does give us board wipe, which is just absolutely insane, and it's super easy to make in the deck. 1 copy of Seeger because it just gets really, really big, and it's just a really good Link monster in the deck. 1 copy of Link Reba because you can use it with your copy of Hurt and your copy of Nasher, which is just absolutely insane. insane and gives us a little bit of battle protection. And finally, a copy of Alamirage, because any monster that's normal summoned to your side of the field, you can link away to summon out this card as long as it has 1,000 attack points or less. So this card is a definite one of in the deck, and it protects monsters from being destroyed by card effects, so it's a definite one of. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to be able to play with. If you guys have never played with Cyber Dragon Therion, you definitely should give the deck a try, because it's super fun to be able to play, and you only have to play 2 copies of the King, which is totally fine. It's a really good card and just gives this deck a really needed negate. So anyways, guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next to become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.